The stage is set, the lighting is dialed in, the slides are polished to the pixel. Then the lights dim, and the exact same epic conference intro track plays that you have heard at 4 other events this year. Nobody in the room noticed consciously, but somewhere in the back of their mind, the first impression just quietly became generic. Here is the pattern that shows up at almost every B2B conference, webinar, and product launch. Someone's building the event deck, opens a presentation kit or a stock library, search epic intro or corporate build, and drops in whatever comes up first. Dramatic strings, a rising synth bed, a drum hit right as the logo appears. It sounds impressive in isolation. The problem is that thousands of other events sound impressive in exactly the same way, often use the literal same track. If you attend more than a handful of B2B conferences a year, there is a real chance you have already heard your own event's opening music somewhere else, played for a completely different company, building up to a completely different logo reveal. That is not a coincidence. That is what happens when sounds impressive gets treated as the whole brief, instead of sounds like us. The person picking that track is usually not being careless. They are often under real-time pressure, building a run of show of the week before the event, with 100 other logistics competing for attention. Music ends up being the thing solved fastest, precisely because a template exists that make it easy to solve fast. Here is why a particular moment carries more weight than it might seem. Most content your brand puts out can be skipped, scrolled past, muted, or replied later. And even intro cannot. It happens once live in front of an audience that is for those 30 seconds, giving you their full and undivided attention. That kind of attention is rare. Most of your other touch points have to fight for it. This one starts with already given. And whatever plays in those 30-second sets an emotional expectation before a single word gets said. Confident and precise, warm and human, bold and disruptive. The music decides that framing before your presenter even reaches the microphone. When the music is a template shared with half the industry, the expectation is set simply generic event. Competent, professional, forgettable at all once. Compare that to a first handshake. Confident and specific leaves a different impression than polished and interchangeable, even if both technically go fine. The music is doing the equivalent job before your presenter has said a single word. Now picture the alternative. An intro built as an extension of your actual sonic identity, using the same motif as your audio logo, the same emotional direction as the rest of your brand sound, just expanded into a fuller 30-second piece for the moment your brand gets to make an entrance. That is a very different experience for the room. It does not need to be louder or more dramatic than the stock version. It needs to be unmistakably connected to everything else that brand already sounds like. So the moment reinforces identity instead of borrowing someone else's mood for the afternoon. For a brand that shows up at the same industry events every year, the repetition becomes an asset instead of a cost. The fifth time an audience hears that same motif, open your session, it stops being background noise and start being recognition. The exact opposite of what rotating cast of stock tracks can ever build. At Dimulti Music, this is exactly why we treat event intros as a part of the same sonic system as everything else, not a spare task handed to whoever is building the event deck that week. If you want to see how this fits into your brain sound across every touch point, not just the stage, we walk through a full audit method in another video, worth watching after this one. So here is a simple way to check where you actually stand. Pull up the recording of your last event, skip straight to the opening 30 seconds, then do the same for a competitor's event in the same industry. Play them back to back. If you cannot tell which intro belongs to which company without seeing the logo, that 30 seconds is not doing the one job it had. It is not making a first impression, it is repeating someone else. You do not get that moment back once the lights comes up. Let's make sure the next one actually sounds like you, not like the template everyone else already used this year.